Good morning. Markets are coming into, sometimes I call it the kill zone, where the reversal is going to happen after such a nasty move. Yesterday, thought maybe it was going to turn and was stalled there for a while and got some little bit of rally into the end of the day. So we look over to the left, as we always do. Little prior high there that started to move down. See the lines up right over here. There's overlapping tails. David Campbell saying it's a little very scary title. That's funny. Okay, so we're just looking at an area, and look, if it does clear here, it might tag the 50, which would be another relatively large move. But we got 4,600 here on the S&P 500 futures. We do have these overlapping candles over here, which is, was a failure. You can see how it popped up there with a, really fast move, and then boom, made doom and down, and then it started this action last week that then obviously resulted in what happened. So things are beginning to stall. It makes sense. It reached what we would call the destination. It had a little breakout failure there. Let's clean this up. And not too bad, but a little bit of a shock because, pulled back a couple of hours and it popped up, and now it's taken out the low of the high bar. And so that, supposed to keep going, of course, after this little consolidation. And so you got to be careful. And so we mark off what's over there to the left. You go pretty far back, and then you bring it into the, what you're looking at now. And then it applies on these other time frames. We talked about this in the green room yesterday. Someone asked about going long the Russell. I was like, it's right up into resistance. And it was like, they said, well, wow, you always have these things that, I didn't see. And well, I just showed them what you do. You just condense your chart up and you mark off an area, right? Like those pivot highs up there, you mark them off. And then depending on the software you're using, you just, like in this software, you right click and I say, apply it to all those charts. So now when I'm looking at my 5-minute chart, I can't see what's way over there from days ago, but I know my 5-minute chart has marked off an area where sellers should show up. So if I see a buy pattern, right, like this pullback type of pattern, I see that buy pattern and I see this red area up there, well, I better think about selling or portions of my position to sell while it's going in there. It's the same on the downside. Okay? So now you have to really, right, that's pretty far away, but for day trades, this is going to be, well, if it breaks that, it opens up the door to be, prices pulling back further into this little void here. So it's just a process. You just repeat it and mark off significant areas and see what happens when they get there. And this is relatively close, so it's probably going to be a little choppy until buyers and sellers can battle it out and say, hey, can I break support? Can I get through here? There's probably some significant support over here. So internals, this got above the zero line. I don't mean it won't hook back down, but I would be surprised if it was able to push back into the red. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And of course, if this is up here, this will be up a little further up. Interestingly, sentiment is not rising very rapidly as it has in the past. So you can see how it's starting to trend down. So it's nowhere near what would be a sell. So I'm not so sure. What I really want to see happen here is this thing start to turn, come back down here, this tagged at 1.2, and maybe this would make a higher low, which could set up a much, much better buy, but we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's take a look at the Qs. They're stalled. Same scenario. You can see they're up into that prior to pivots up there and are reacting and have already come down below the breakout bar. So selling picking up. It's too early to tell whether this will be a topping tail. And without getting too, not maybe excited, but, into calling this the absolute turn day, this bar is being created at the moment. And many times when you get a turn, right, now we're talking here with the assumption that this is going to turn and go down, right? Because it came down very hard and it's retraced to a point where typically sellers show up, and it could be one bar, but the best turns happen with 2 or 3 bars. So we may see some wiggles going on up here, even into tomorrow, and then down it may go. And tomorrow, and then Friday, right? Some news coming out on Friday. Maybe it all plays out into that. We shall see. And this is underperforming. It's been underperforming. It's at this pivot high here. It's backing off. We see the same intraday pattern that's developing so far. This is above the little breakout bar there. We'll see. Keep an eye on that and see if it comes underneath it. You can see the 5 minutes already trending down. What did I do here? I just went to type something in the wrong place. There we go. S&Ps we were looking at down. Same story, coming up in between the moving averages. Let's look to the left. Right up there. Isn't that amazing? You just have to look to the left. Why they're stalling there, why things trend in one direction until they get to where that is, and all that mumbo jumbo that's in between that so many people look at how meaningless it is. Bitcoin showing a little relative weakness this morning. It's been moving with the markets, but a lot of relative weakness compared to how it's been correlated to the broader markets, meaning here it led the way down. Now the broader markets rally and Bitcoin can barely move up. So if the broader markets start to roll over, that leads to a belief that Bitcoin may just get down there to that 30,000 level. Can't stop oil. We'll see if $90 does. But look at how it's starting to trade here. Look at the bars here. Complete bars. And now we get bars with tails. It's like, I'm not so sure that this can go up. And it gets a little downside shakeout. Now we get complete bar, little bar, complete bar, complete. And now all these bars with tails on the top and the bottom. So there's this hesitancy and things are getting erratic as it's reaching this $90 area. And that's just a sign of uncertainty is beginning to creep in to crude oil, that it can continue to go up. So that is a thought as you look at stocks that are correlated to crude oil. Silver. I'm going to say it just looked like it could really at least get to the top of the trading range. Nope. And it didn't even reach any real significant support. I mean, it hit that 200, but there wasn't much there, and it just collapsed. And gold, it just collapsed. It's on here. It's trying to lift off here, but it's really erratic. And just look at this trading here. Up. It's like insanity. Just whipping back and forth. I don't know what that's going to do yet. Just generally things, you get events like a bar like this, like a breakdown in a wide range bar, that implies that buyers will keep coming. Same here. And now, of course, at some point, this implies that sellers are going to keep coming. So whether it'll break here or not is going to be interesting. Yeah, okay. Someone on YouTube was clarifying for someone else that didn't understand what I was talking about. All right. This GLD, you it's just a mess. I talked about how this was looking so good and it fell apart yesterday. I mentioned the fact that, just to share, why did this fall apart so dramatically? Because the pattern created a belief in many that this was going to keep going up. So they were buying the dip. Red bar ignored, bottoming tail bar. And then it failed. And so when you have so many believing that something's going to move a certain direction and then it fails dramatically, it creates a downdraft such as this. And it works in the opposite way as well sometimes. That's why we talk about charts or pictures of what others believe and what are their expectations. Clearly, the expectations were it was going to go up, and now it starts to rebuild again, where you have people that are like, I don't care. I don't care that it went down. I love gold. I got to buy it. It's cheaper now. And they may buy it, when it just goes down another 20 or 30%, but whatever. It's down on support. Some people are buying it. Maybe some news comes out and it rips right back up again. Doesn't seem feasible, but you just look at the way it's been trading. Calling the direction at this point, I think kind of a coin flip. All right, transports, that's industrials, transports. Yeah, they gapped up yesterday and went nowhere. And where's the VIX? Yesterday, I spoke about the fact that the VIX moved up like this and was pulling back to a point where it should try to turn up, and it didn't do that. And it's starting out with a stall day and it's into this support area. So I think today could be that choppy day where there's that indecision as to can it go higher? Is it going to roll over? In that battle between buyers and sellers defending relatively smaller areas of support and resistance, it just makes for choppy price action. So for SPX, how far away can you get? Second. 46.35. I wouldn't bet against this market going up. I mean, it is 46.35. As you can see the crosshair there. This has been pushing up. So just because it's in an area of resistance, it's likely to stall. I think it's a little too tight. $44.40. And if it's the turn day, could it get down there? I would say no. But it's pretty close. See, as things have tightened up quite a bit as far as the premiums being so far away. And it's one of those situations where they aren't what we call no-brainers. It isn't a no-brainer. $44.35. I don't know. So generally, where prices are at, let's go back to SPY. Right, and see 457. It's coming down 55. It's the kind of pattern where typically it's not going to go down that far. Meaning, if it got down to yesterday's low, and let's go back to SPX, 44.88, and we're talking about 44.35, which that premium may get better if the markets keep coming in. 44.35. I think that's safe. I think that's safe. And if these markets keep coming in, right, you might be able to get to a quarter. So let's see what happens. But the premiums will evaporate up top. It's not a no-brainer day, so you'll have to decide. But those are the levels to start with and see which way things move here. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, we have a lot of put spread candidates, but the problem is if the mothership's going to be coming in, then were they showing relative weakness? But we'll go through them one by one. And I'm also have some call spread candidates on anything that has moved up robustly. Let's see. Anything that's moved up into earnings with a multi-bar move and then gaps up huge, I just automatically have a fading bias. That's just my bias. Doesn't mean I'm going to short it, because step two is put it in a 5-minute chart and let's see what it does. So somebody asked me about AMD. I forget the exact question. Will it hold or whatever? I mean, look, it's gapping up right to resistance, and that is a monster gap. So this thing running from 100 to 130 in 4 days, the odds are staggering that it's going to come in a little bit. So Dexter, put this on your call spread watch. Now, we got to be careful with Google just because it reminds me of Riven when it went public, and we had this crazy bullish sentiment with CNBC was, and then, Tesla gets crazy, bullish on certain events, like when they got added to the S&P 500 and so forth. So we got to be careful to fade this beast, but gapping up to 3,000 here again after a run from 2,500. The odds, look, it's already down $50 just from the pre-market. So the odds are a pullback or consolidation. But that, I'm going to keep an eye on this for a call spread. We just need the setup and be careful about it. We actually did a earnings speculation trade on Starbucks. We did a bull call debit spread based on this way oversold chart, nice bottoming action here. And it's not working. I actually sold the $95 puts. So the detective, just for, well, I'm saying you, but for everybody, option sellers into earnings. Even though this thing's gapping down a couple bucks, I'm curious how much my $95 puts are going to be priced at the open, because I'm still $6 out of the money for 3 full days. Yeah, no, I already did that. Don't worry. But I don't have the virus anyway. Greg and I, were we don't get it. So you just don't have to worry about that. All right, so Starbucks, what we will do is just manage the directional, because we have a bull call debit spread with positive theta. So the depreciate, the volatility crush is not going to hurt us, but we're going to get hurt on the gap down, on the delta against us. All right, this thing, $45. That's a nasty gap, but gap's too big. Remember, I'm after what I call tier 1 setups here at the open. I'm either going to delete it, I'm going to keep it on the list and come back to it in 30 minutes, or I'm going to say it's a tier 1 setup. This thing only has one print up here, so really not sure if it's real. If it is gapping up that high, then I have no interest. Splunk was on our list yesterday. This is a tier 1 setup. It's a nice 1, 2, 3, and it's a bullish 15-minute base. And again, I only see one print up here, so I don't know for sure. But this is one that fits in the category of it's a great pattern. But if the markets are going to come in, is this really going to go on its own page? JCI bottoming pattern, it was up. We'll come back to you. But over yesterday's high, set an alarm. Team, another nice little bottom going sideways at resistance. That could be maybe a 30-minute high. PayPal earnings getting whacked. Do you remember we were going through a couple possible earnings trades yesterday into the close, and somebody mentioned PayPal, and we said it real simple so we could go through them quickly. We said, give me symbol and reason. Like, so when somebody said, hey, what do you think about this, Dan? I'm like, what's your bias? I don't have a bias on this. It's a sell setup, but it's not something that I would want to gamble into earnings. But if you did gamble on the bearish side, well, then you are getting paid handsomely today. The expected move of this was $15, and it's gapping down whatever 35, so it is getting destroyed. What this Starbucks, now see, Starbucks had an expected move of $6, and it's gapping down less than 3. So that's why I think I'm going to be profitable even with my $90 puts. All right, let's continue. Yeah, and always, we look at the cousins, right? So Square is the cousin. And Greg, you mentioned not PayPal, you mentioned a Bitcoin week. And yeah, I kind of made the same. That was my immediate thought when I saw the NASDAQ up 200 and change this morning. My immediate thought was, oh, well, then of course Bitcoin's going to be up, and it wasn't. I'm like, I was scratching my head, but then I read an article or heard or whatever that Biden's trying to regulate it, and also the US is wanting to come out with their own digital something or other. So from a fundamental perspective, both of those are negative. All right, I can't tell the gap. Alphas, that's light volume. I'm just going to kill you now. Docs, nice wide range closing breakout. Remember, a closing breakout it closes above the prior closes with a price void. So detective put spread idea. Get a pen out, DOX, write it down, and the other ones that you already wrote down. Write this one down, ATEN. A nice gap up from a bottoming action with a big old bottoming tail. Put that on the list. Mitch was down and now it's rallying. So, we can put this on the list, but that's not a tier 1. We'll come back to it in 30 minutes. Oscar India, put on your list. That would be a no-brainer put spread. Mercy. I only see one print down here at 52. If it really did open at 52, then that's a call spread idea. Ash, beautiful bottom. I can't tell where it's gapping. Another earnings one. I'm just going to eyeball an alarm at 96.10. Guild, down 65 bucks. That's a call spread idea, but I think Guild has a little flavor of, biotech in him. ABC, put spread idea, detective. This looks fantastic. This one, I hope it gaps down here to 136.75. Because then the trigger is yesterday's high. Yeah, John, talking about GM all. GM, remember this one was also, we were contemplating a directional on him. And then we talked about it and I said, fine, I like it, but I didn't post it officially. UNM. Colette asking about, all right, UNM is a mess. I'm deleting you. Colette's asking about GM. Yeah, no, it looks like it wants to head to the 200 and converging 20. It's gapping after up big, but see how it sets up. Splunk bottom right is not following through, but I like it better. I like Splunk better now with this little downside shakeout. If it can take out yesterday's high. I already got an alarm on 24.50. All right. All right. So big gaps here. I'm not ready to do a 0 DTE call spread, but that's my initial bias. All right, Costco. Costco is at our 4 cents. So let's close Costco. 4 cents.